Hello everyone. Welcome to the SisterSupport Healing Circle or Healing Book Club based off of my book, What's the Best That Can Happen. We are now doing, I think I'm pretty solid on this schedule, Wednesdays on TikTok Live. I'm no longer doing Saturdays just because that's a bit much for me to come and just repeat. If it's important enough for you to do the work, then you'll make time to show up for the meeting. Otherwise, you can always catch up with me on a one-on-one basis. I offer one-on-one sessions. Just DM me for details and we can intentionally heal together. Otherwise, this is a group setting where I do a brief teaching or speaking towards something that I read in the book. Those of you who are unfamiliar, the book I'm referring to is What's the Best That Can Happen. Early on in my journey, I realized that as a man thinks, so he is, and also the power in words and thought. So I took the idea of what's the worst that can happen, because that's the thinking that we're tricked into. What's the worst that can happen? Let's go ahead and try it. What's the worst that can happen? And I have heard some speaking points and philosophies. Hey, Rhea, I've heard some speaking points and some philosophies where people are like, a way to overcome anxiety in life is to run yourself through all the possible scenario outcomes. So what is the worst that can happen? Because a way to avoid the anxiety and the inactivity of anxiety is to take yourself through all the possible outcomes. And in the possible outcomes, you do ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen? But I decided to switch that popular expression into what's the best that can happen. Yes, it's okay to understand that things can go any kind of way because control is an illusion, but let's look at life through the lens of what is the best possible outcome we can receive, and the way that we receive the best possible outcome is to start doing the work in our mind, in our heart, in our spirit, in our physical world. Things happen in the spiritual world way before they happen into the physical world. That's why most of us gravitate towards spirituality first. Those of us who have a block in the spiritual realm will start doing things in the physical world that will get us into the notion and understanding that we are capable of change. And then once we've done the work in the spiritual acceptance, we can now start doing the spiritual work. But the majority of us gravitate to spirituality first. So we are studying this book. This is an ongoing study group, so no matter when you drop in, just get your copy of the textbook, start reading, working at your pace. Initially, the book club was a chapter a day so we could get through it in 30 days. But as I'm doing the work right along with you, there's no way that you can heal yourself in a chapter a day if you're actually focused on healing yourself. So we are moving through this book at our own pace, but we are moving through this book intentionally and doing the work, hopping on these lives, asking questions. If you need to get with me one-on-one, DM me for that detail so we could do one-on-one sessions, and really doing the work of healing ourselves. I start these book clubs as I wait for people to hop on with sharing my journal. How's it going, everybody out there? I'm going to share my journal entry for the day, and then I'm going to get into my teaching. Then we'll have our one-on-ones. Angel, get off of my live. Then we'll have our one-on-ones where if you have any questions, you can hop on with me for 5 minutes. I can answer what's available to you and on your heart and mind. September 23rd, 2023. Is today the 23rd? It is not. Today is the 27th. I remember that because I remember writing that and I was like, oh, it's 2023. But anyway, September 27th, 23. I did some reading. I realized this isn't a power through book. It's really a workbook, and I'm excited to be reading it at this time. The reminders are crazy, and I reflect on how I would tell people it's for the beginning of your journey. But I'm well on my journey, and the things I'm saying in this book I wrote in 2013 are the same things I'm saying today. So it's not new information. It's new perspective and new application. So understand that anything that you're going through in life, once you have the fundamentals, it's not about going and gaining new fundamentals. Welcome to the live, guys. It's not about gaining and getting new fundamentals. So those of you who are on your healing journey, it's not about attaching to the new teaching, attaching to the new teaching, attaching to the new teaching. Your healing is in identifying a process and methodology. Hey, Nova. A process and methodology that aligns with you, and working that process and applying it to where you are today. I can read this book over and over and over again, and as long as I am committed to the healing associated with this book, that means that I can always reapply. I told people when I started talking about this book, because it's been around since 2013, but I just now started talking about it, I would tell people, well, it's for the beginning of your healing journey. I wrote it in the beginning of my healing journey, but now that I'm reading the book, I'm like, sis, this is the same stuff you're talking about now with a higher or greater or different perspective or understanding. So there's nothing new under the sun on your healing journey. It only becomes brand new because you are constantly chasing something instead of sticking to something. And I encourage you to pick up your copy of What's the Best That Can Happen. Hop on these lives, hop in my DMs for one-on-one sessions so that we can start intentionally healing, because it's not about chasing a new healing methodology. It's about applying one intentionally. Though the language has changed, the methods so far are the same. Healing is healing. And though it's topical, the language, the meaning and work is deep-rooted in self-love. Someone said today, why do I feel so overwhelmed? It's like I want to know. I need to do the work, but I'm afraid at the same time. Someone left a comment on the book club announcement I have pinned to the top of my page. And they said, why do I feel so overwhelmed? Thank you for the love, guys. Like and share the live. If I'm feeding into your spirit, guaranteed I'll be able to feed into somebody else's. So please let your community know. Like-minded attracts like-minded. Why do I feel so overwhelmed? It's like I want to know. I need to do the work. So she acknowledges that she needs to do the work, but she's afraid at the same time. My God, I understand. You are working up, and I don't want to freestyle off of that. I want to see what I wrote, because my freestyle may turn into what I wrote, and then I just end up duplicating myself. So let's see what I wrote in my here journal. Thank you, AJ. I appreciate the love. You are working up to your divinity, and thus far, we've been able to do a few things in the spiritual world, and it brought some relief. But when the knowing kicks in, that now you have to start physically changing, it's scary. It's real easy to do the spiritual stuff, y'all, because it's in the non-tangible world. Once we start popping into our tangible world, it gets really real, and everybody ain't built for that. What's up, Carby? I came to a realization that manifestation starts happening in the spiritual realm first. I started looking at all of my manifestation things that I have around my room, and all the manifestations, my vision board and those things. And I was like, everything that is on the spiritual realm that is non-tangible, I've achieved. So in knowing that, and I can give you guys a physical example so we're not guessing at what I'm talking about. Here's my vision board. I haven't made a new one because the things on here that are in the physical realm are not achieved yet. But, sure, I stay hitting my face. My depth perception is all the way messed up. But if we look at this, speak life, love, where is it at? Peace, family. As the apple turns, I have turned our content into what I have believed it to always be, and start branding the as the apple turns. But family, peace, love, speaking life. When I made this board, I did not set out to achieve those things. Those are just things I wanted to experience. But in order for me to experience these things in the physical world, and let's keep it G, when I made this board, what I aspired in my life to be and to do in my physical world is not what I aspire to be and do now. I wanted to be a world-renowned artist, at this time. I don't want to be an artist. I don't want anyone to ask me to do art. My husband's like, you could start selling art again. I was like, yeah, my price tag presently is $1,500 for a personal piece. I don't do celebrities for that, but I don't want to do art. So it's okay. If you want to pay $1,500, goddamn it, I'll go out there and get on that saw. But if you're not willing to pay, I'm not losing sleep. But what I'm saying is things that I put on here in the physical world aren't necessarily what I want. So the next time that I do a vision board, I would focus on what do I want to experience in the physical world, in the non-tangible world, because what that will create, my family environment is making it to where I went to a concert the other night. I'm sitting in the middle of the concert like, damn, I miss my family, you know? Because I've created that energy where I value my family, peace. Once I've created peace, once I, experienced the love, I appreciate you hopping in. Once I experience the love and the speaking life, I am starting creating the energy that will create the physical world that I would desire at the time that the physical world pops in. So yes, things started happening in the spiritual world before they started happening in the physical world. And that's how I realized we are manifesting if we pay attention to us. I appreciate you making sure I got over 1K likes. Pop, 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 pop. You and AJ out there rocking it, and I appreciate it. So I just wanted to caveat, that's what happened, where I was like, oh, well, hold on. I am experiencing love. I am experiencing peace. All these things I never experienced before. So if I'm able to call that into my life, I know the physical is coming. But we have to think the physical world and manifestation. If I want to own land, is the land that is divinely mine even available right now? Or does someone have to move off of the land? Does it have to go into foreclosure? Does it have to do all these different things? We don't know. Hey, Crystal, we don't know what needs to happen in the physical world in order for our physical manifestations to take place. This platform that we have right now had to happen in 2023. I've had the vision for this platform, well, not this particular manifestation of the platform, but to be able to teach and to speak and to help others. I say it many times in my book, make sure you pick up the textbook and join the study group. I say it multiple times, I came to this earth to help heal and to help people heal themselves. I say that, I've known that. I wrote that in 2023. But the platform that is now available for me to do that, 2013, 10 years ago. But the platform is now available for me to actually do the work. I've sold more copies of my book in 2023 than I've sold in the 10 years that it's been out. Thank you. I appreciate you. But I've known that this work is here for me to do. But in knowing this work is here for me to do, I have not been able to actually do the work until now. So things had to come about. TikTok was Musical.ly and had to become TikTok, and I had to overcome the bias that I have that TikTok is a kid's app. My kids are on freaking Musical.ly and making TikToks and stupid dance videos. I'm not doing that. I had to overcome a lot of things in order for the physical manifestation of this to happen. So understand that if you are actively improving and living your life and you are actively manifesting, pay attention to what happens in the non-tangible world before you pay attention to the physical world, because those non-tangible breadcrumbs are what's going to keep you in faith long enough for the physical world to come about. That is why, it says, I came to the realization that manifestation starts happening in the spiritual realm first. That is why a desire to change your life starts with the spirit work for most people. But also most people stop there. And since most people stop there, we feel comfort. Still group think. When we stop in the spirit work, everybody stops in the spirit work. Like everybody's on their spiritual journey. Everybody's on their spiritual healing journey. And I'm not mocking it. I'm just saying everybody's on it. So if we stop our growth in that spiritual realm and we don't move over into the physical realm, we feel comfort and we don't feel alone. Why? Because everybody stops there. but a more spiritual evolved group. But this is how, okay, groupthink, but it's a more spiritually evolved groupthink group. But this is how the fakers get in. This is something Fatima was posting about today in one of her videos. She's one of our ladies, and I just reposted her video because she just got a copy of my book. So check her out. Her content is amazing. But something that she was talking about is how people who you believe are empaths are actually narcissists who attach to empaths. So while I was writing in the journal today, this is the message that I received. And while I was writing this message, I was like, this is what she was talking about. So it's really cool when you're doing the evolutionary work and you come across people in your day-to-day life that give you confirmation. Again, don't ever look outside of yourself for the answers. The only time you seek outside of yourself is for confirmation because you sought the answer from within with your higher self. That is why we do start with the spiritual work first so that we can then do the physical work. But we need the information from our spiritual self in order to do the physical work. So it is good to start here, but it is never good to stop there. This is how the fakers get in. Anyone can learn the buzzwords. Anyone can gain a closer relationship with their higher selves. We get confused because someone is doing the spiritual work. And we think if someone is willing to do the spiritual work, they must be a good person. Maybe someone willing to do the spiritual work is just tired of being miserable. That doesn't mean that they're a good person. That just means they're seeking the next thing to make themselves feel good. And to the point of Fatima, where it's a narcissist, the narcissist isn't doing the healing for any other reason but to figure out their next manipulation tool. So do not be disillusioned. Please shut my door. Please do not be disillusioned in the idea that just because someone is doing self-healing spiritual work, they are doing it because they are trying to heal and be a good person. And this is what Sis Fatima was talking about, where she said, just because someone's out here attaching to you and attaching to your energy does not mean that they are out here in love and light. But the true evolution comes when you push. I want you to leave my room, please. Mom. The true evolution comes. There are 2 adults out there that can help you. Please leave my room. Please stop. The true evolution happens. Hold on, what was my sentence? The true evolution comes when you push past the intangible into the tangible. This is the This is the camel passing through the eye of a needle. Those of you who are familiar with the Bible, it is far easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than it is to enter the kingdom of heaven. So this is the camel passing through the eye of a needle. This is the faith of a mustard seed. This is truly trusting divine to transform your physical world. And that is work only a small percentage is willing to do. But know, as you elevate higher, increase standards of self and others, no one can fake it. The reason why someone can come to you with the fake, triggers and healing and oh my God, all the buzzwords, and they could come to you with the fake mask, because this spirituality is a mask for a lot of us. This is the new mask. This is the new trend. Just like I posted those videos on our YouTube, As the Apple Turns, just like I posted those videos about how it bothers me that being a father right now is trend. I love it because men who follow trend are being fathers and, okay, are you recording? Look at me daddying. I love that that these children who historically have not had relationships with fathers, because boys become men that follow trend. Women too, but I'm talking about fathers right now. Boys become men that follow trend. So when the trend was to be absent, when the trend was cool to go and sit at the barbershop and talk about how you don't take care of your kids too, which it is. Unfortunately, that has been cool. That's why we had the number of absent fathers and the perversion of men not taking care of their children. But now, especially with the introduction of, let me show you my kids have a father too. And a part of that, a part of it bothers me is like, look, I got something that nobody else has. Look at me energy. Like, so these videos bother me on a multitude of levels. But the level that I'm talking about is people out here faking it because it's trend. So do not be disillusioned to think that everyone who is on this spiritual walk is out here on this spiritual walk because they're not faking it. They're out here faking it because it's trend, because it's going to get them attention. Oh, being detached and having a problem with God is no longer what we're doing. Oh, it's divinity, it's universe, it's these things, manifestation. Okay, let me go ahead and read a book real quick. Let me go ahead and enter into these chats and these conversations, because that's what's going to get me what I seek. So don't be confused. But when you start moving into the physical work, which is what we're doing here and what's the best that can happen, make sure you pick up your copy and join our study groups. When you start moving into the physical work, those people who can trick you with the buzzwords, and they are doing the spiritual work on themselves as well. They could trick you there, but they don't talk to you the way that you need to be talked to, because you have elevated your standards. How you allowed someone to talk to you before, you do not stand for that today. The way that you allowed someone to present and manifest as a friend in the past, you do not accept that as a manifestation of friendship today. Therefore, those people who are boning up on the spiritual stuff, unless they are willing to physically evolve themselves and change into a quality human being, they gain no access. So we ain't got even worried about narcissists and those people who are trying to assimilate and put on a mask to gain access to our energy. Because we are so evolved and so changing and so focused on our growth and deading the past and becoming and birthing the future, they can't even come fake and flodge. Thank you so much for the love. This is the faith of a mustard seed. This is truly trusting divine to transform your physical world. And that is work only a small percentage is willing to do. Everybody tells me I'm rare. I'm only rare because I'm willing. And those who are willing are few. But they're not out there. But know, as you elevate higher, increase standards of self and others, no one can fake that. Either they move according to your evolved standards of self, or they gain no entry. So hold peace and knowing, sure, it's gonna be Bubba Sparks. Ugly, ugly, ugly. But the BS will get less and less, and that is where the peace is. That is the peace in the journey, guys. As you continue to evolve, look, who you've been is who you've been, and where you are is where you are. But at the moment that you want something different, you have to be very intentional. The life that you created for yourself today has been unintentionally created. You have put very little effort into your life. Now, boom, you have put effort into things that you have chosen to have accomplishments in. You have put effort into your career. You may have put effort into your relationship. You may have put effort into your raising your children. Whatever your pride point is, you have put effort into that. But what I am pointing to and what I would like to challenge you is, you need to put effort into the overall aspect of your life. Thank you for the love. Thank you. Thank you. You have to put effort into yourself. Who you are is a default, and you can choose to stay in your default. But I think that we should move into a space of self-love and knowing that how beautiful life can become is as beautiful as we create. And once we come into that space, we are no longer afraid. We are no longer unwilling to lead by example, which is what I wanted to teach. My message today is coming from page 32, chapter 8. I'm going to read a little bit about the passage, or I'm going to read an excerpt from the book, and then I'm going to give my teaching on leading by example. Just as fruit does not ripen and fall from the vine out of season, neither will a person who is not ready to go where you're headed spiritually. You will find the old ways of communication obsolete, and the division will begin, and the division will begin. You will find being aware makes existing amongst unawareness difficult. You may find that old habits die hard. Your initial reaction is going to be excited for the possibilities. Imagine you pick up your book and you're excited. You're like, yes, let's get this work in. Because you ain't never done work before. You haven't done work unwillingly. Hey, Ree. You do work on things that you want to excel in. I'm excited about this art, so I'm going to put 110% at becoming the best artist I can be. Boom. I'm not excited about deconstructing and reconstructing my life. I am not excited about admitting to myself that all the thoughts and philosophies that I have held my entire life are problematic. I'm not excited about that, but I am excited about the healing, about the peace, about the knowing that I can walk this earth and truly love myself and truly love my life. I'm excited about that. But the work, I ain't never worked on me before, but god damn it, I gotta mean enough to work on me now. And that's the space that we have to be in, and that's why we're holding these study groups. The author is willing to teach you. You just have to get the textbook. You may find the old habits die hard. Your initial reaction is going to be excitement for the possibilities. You will be all in favor for whatever it takes to make the pain stop. But you will quickly find that as uncomfortable as the pain is, change is even more uncomfortable. You will find yourself doing one of three things. One, you will never start this journey and accept this existence for what it is. You will lie to yourself for what seems like another lifetime by saying, it's not really that bad. The second possible outcome is you will get fired up and make a few steps in the right direction, but the ego will convince you that there's no point in changing. You like who you are, and you're not strong enough to do this, and you always quit. You're not strong enough to do this, and you always quit. The ego will scare your spirit back into hiding. I call it the soul now. So let's get some language clear. Ego, flesh, spirit, current incarnation. Today when I speak, spirit, soul, reincarnation, what goes from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime. So when I speak of ego, I speak of flesh. I speak of Lonnie, this meat suit that I carry around in order to do the work of my soul. In this book, when I speak of spirit, today I term it as soul. So, your reincarnation. Name your reincarnation if you have not. You're about to make me cry because I'm going through it right now. I needed to catch this, and I'm so happy you did, babe. I'm so happy you did. Let's go. Let's do the work. Get your textbook. Our reincarnation, make sure if you have not named your soul, you name your soul, okay? Mine is Ednetta. Because as long as we don't name our spirit selves, our soul self, the part of us that we can't physically see but is definitely there and living our lives if we allow, as long as we ignore it, it can't help us. And this is the devil's playground, right? An idle mind is the devil's playground. We think we must keep our mind busy. But if our mind is not occupied with divinity and the work of us, that is an idle mind. So we can busy our mind with whatever we want to busy our mind with. But if we are not busying our mind with healing ourselves, evolving ourselves, and challenging ourselves to be our higher selves, an idle mind is the devil's playground. The second possible outcome is you will get fired up and make a few steps in the right direction, for the ego will convince you that there is no point in changing. You like who you are, or you're not strong enough to do it and you always quit. The ego will scare your spirit back into hiding, or your soul. The ego will scare your soul back into hiding, accepting that this existence is what it is. How many of you guys have said it is what it is in your life? You will find yourself lying to yourself by saying, it's not that bad. As you continue to walk in this lie, the ego dominates and lives on another day as your spirit or your soul weeps to be free. The third and most courageous outcome is you will get this information, you will run with it, and when the fear sets in, you will face it boldly and demand to live your life to the fullest or die trying. I refuse, hey babe, I refuse to turn back. Me and my husband are having divorce conversations, not present day. There's be some videos uploading at the beginning of October from a family meeting that we held. And me and my husband are really having conversations where it's just like, yo, If we can't get on the same page, then we got to get apart because we're not growing together. And I love myself enough to be okay with that. I love him to death. He is my best friend. There is nobody else on this earth intimately for me. There's nobody else that I have a connection with besides this man. But I can't be in this elevated space if he chooses not to join me there. And I'm okay with that. And want the does that? Oh, that's an R. Fear sets in. You will face it boldly and demand to live your life to the fullest or die trying. You will create yourself a network of like-minded people who can help you through this process. And regardless of any of your levels of understanding, you will understand that turning back is not an option. I tell my husband that all the time. You want her. She ain't here no more. So you either got to accept me for me. He wants me for me. Or you get stuck in the past. You get left in the past. I'm sorry. As Harriet Tubman led the former slaves to freedom, some still remained in chains in their minds. Some of them fought her and even turned back. Some were so afraid of what lay on the other side that they sent slave trappers on the path from which they just came from. Some of those people who sent slave trappers after free slaves who are in the midst of running for their freedom thought they had the best intentions. I want you to digest that. Every person that is pulling you back and holding you back from your greatness isn't a hater. Some of them are so fearful of what's on the other side of your aspirations that they will try to pull you back for your safety. So some of those slaves who sent slave trappers after runaway slaves, and I hate to use this language, but it's understandable language, we're trying to help them because what is on the other side? I have to save you from you. Pay attention to that. They were so mentally tied to being a slave that they had no other identity. All other options cease to exist. You have to decide, are you willing to remain a slave to your ego and its bag of tricks, or are you going to fight through the underbrush, slosh through the swamps, and hide out in the back rooms while you fight for your soul's freedom? The road to freedom will be tough, but I promise you, my friend, when you come out the other end, what awaits you is far greater than where you left. So I want to teach about leading by example. Let me read these comments real quick. Oh my God, the slave trappers and people holding you back from your greatness, and they don't even know they're doing it, sis. They think they're helping you. Hey, girl, I quoted you earlier. I quoted you, sis. What were we talking about? I was reading my journal and how you were talking about, y'all, when I was talking about Fatima, here she is right here. She's in our comments. Definitely check out her content. Sis is on the vibe. And she's going to give you confirmation. Because that's what you should be seeking from us anyway. Any type of outside source, you should be seeking confirmation. You get your answers here. You get your confirmation here. And we're doing the work here. I want to talk about leading by example. Many of us women are leaders in our community, and I know we get the misconception that being a leader within your community has something to do with some prestigious position that you hold, but you have to also understand that your community starts in your home. So you are the leader within your home, which means everyone within your home, I don't care how oppressive it may be. Even your oppressor is watching how you move, because your oppressor is only able to oppress you because you allow. And I know that's very difficult to receive, but understand that up until this point where you feel that you are out of control of the treatment that you're receiving in your life, you are allowing said treatment. We confirm for each other when we're on the right side of the light. Amen. Yes, because we're vibrating on the same path, the same wavelength. And so you have to understand that everyone that you have chosen to align yourself with is watching you, and they're watching you how you move. But most importantly, if you are a mother, you are demonstrating for your children how to move. And I'm speaking to the women because my present audience right now, I believe, are females and those who identify. And if I apologize. But what I'm saying is, women are the leaders in our world, in our community. What we are experiencing right now with all these men running the show, this is an imbalance and a pervasion, and that is why this world is falling apart. Because any type of leadership absence of the feminine is disastrous, and that is why this world is a fucking disaster. Because what is feminine energy? Feminine is our higher chakra. So we are moving into the heart chakra. We are moving into the throat chakra. We are moving into the third eye and our divinity. We are moving into these spaces. This is the energy that our world should be created. And even though we cannot control the world out there, we can control our world within. We are even the teachers of men. We are their first teachers because we birthed them. As a mother, we are everyone's first teacher. So how can the woman go from being the first to the last, but in a pervasive society? So first and foremost, you must understand the power that you hold, and you have to understand that the example that you choose to walk by is the example that you are leading by. And you have to understand that everyone is watching you. Why is everyone watching you? Because as their lives become classrooms, that means everything they observe, they are learning from. I'm not just watching videos. I'm learning from those videos, and I'm not learning verbatim from those videos, but there is something within that video that stuck to me, and I don't have to be intentional, i.e., let me remember what this is said, let me favorite this so I can watch this over and over again until it enters my subconscious. That may be your method, but that's not the space that I'm in. Thank you so much for sharing the lives. Thank you for liking the lives. If you like it, if you're blessed, somebody else will be. So thank you, thank you, thank you. By just knowing that anything that I encounter is a teachable moment, I can encounter anything, and then I can go, like I watched Fatima's video earlier, and then I picked up my book and I read a paragraph, and I was just like, yo, this is exactly what Sis was talking about. Confirmation. And then when I sit down and journal, and all of a sudden I'm journaling from the perspective that she's talking about, and I'm taking it a step further. Let me read it to you, sis, because you're here. Come with the where necessary in a child's, those are survival mode. Oh, I'm way too many pages. What? Hold up. Life starts, the spirit work for most, but also most people stop there, and since most people start, I'm talking about spiritual work. That is why I desire to change your life starts with the spirit work stops with the spiritual work for most people. But also most people stop there. And since most people stop there, we feel comfort because that's group think. Just happens the group we're around are spiritually evolved people. So we feel good in that group think. But this is how the fakers get in. And this was your point, sis. But this is how the fakers get in. Anyone can learn the buzzwords. Anyone can gain a closer relationship with their higher selves. But the true evolution comes when you push past the intangible into the tangible. This is the camel passing through the eye of the needle. This is the faith of a mustard seed. This is truly trusting divine to transform your physical world. And that is the work only a small percentage is willing to do. So we are able to become entrapped by narcissists because we are stopping our evolution because it feels good, and we are surrounded by other spiritual beings. We find comfort in that space, but guess what? The devil, what does he come to? Kill, destroy, and there's something other in there, but the devil's busy, right? These narcissists come into our space, and they study the exact same books we study. They stop evolving just as far as we're willing to stop evolving. They are leveling themselves up just enough. We are leading by example. They're leveling themselves up just enough to gain access to us. And we wonder why, man, this person said all the spiritual stuff, and they got all the books on their bookshelf, and they doing all the things, and we follow the same people on social media. How come this person is still full of shit? Yes, they study you. But guess what? The way that we avoid that deception is we lead by example and we elevate ourselves, which means we start doing the work. We change the way we talk. We change the way we walk. We change the way we think. We change everything about ourselves. Those of you who watched my evolution, I physically look different. I eat different. I drink different. I speak different. Everything about me is different. My hair, everything about me is different. Yes, they can copy it all. But guess what? Once we start speaking differently, they have to learn how to speak differently. So either they're going to learn how to vibe the way that we vibe because we are leading by example, and they have to elevate themselves in order to rock with us. That spiritual stuff is real fucking, I can get the buzzwords. I can elevate my energy. They can raise their energy a little bit because we've raised our energy a little bit. But do they talk the way that we need to be talked to? When we give them redirection, are they willing to accept that redirection? Because when you are in an evolved state and you vibrate in the energy, to your point, and you vibrate into the energy where you understand evolution and evolutionary change is a constant. In order for us to continue to heal and evolve and grow together, we must learn how to move and function and become one and not bumping up against each other, but flowing and moving together. Soulmates, they're moving like this. Most of us, we're not linking with soulmates, but we still can figure out how to flow together. You force a narcissist, if it's possible. Boom. I don't know narcissist. I'm a narcissist and I'm capable of change. So I'm not going to say all narcissists aren't capable of changing. But what I will say, you force someone who came to you to seek, kill, and destroy. I believe that's what they say the devil's supposed to be out here doing. But someone who came in here for negative, who doesn't mean to feed your spirit and to elevate you, guess what you do? As you continue to evolve yourself, you're thinking, you're speaking, you're eating, everything, all the difficult stuff. That's why I read Sis's passage in the beginning where she says she knows she got to do the work, but she's afraid. Because you must become an entirely new you. And in becoming an entirely new you, your present life may just fall apart. Mine is. It happens. But those fakers can't pass the gate because you see them. Like, yo, I understand, yeah, spiritual mumble jumble aside, did you really just call me that? And you're okay with calling me that? And you're not going to correct yourself? You're just going to say my bad? You're just going to tell me I'm being sensitive? Oh, I can't fuck with you no more because you don't vibrate the way that I vibrate. We are not on the same vibe. So that was me taking the lesson and the inspiration from my sis. And I was just like, yo, that's how we lead by example. We cannot stop with the spiritual connection. This is the start. Now we must do the rest of the work. And our children are watching us. Our friends are watching us. Our spouses are watching us. Our enemies are watching us. Everybody is watching us. And we can choose to set an example where people feel safe and secure around us, which means we are moving how they move and they're not threatened by our growth. Or we can set the example where we are bossing the fuck up and making people feel real fucking uncomfortable unless they elevate themselves. So a narcissist may happen around you. Like I said, I'm a narcissist. But I'm an aware. I woke up to the fact, I was like, damn, we sitting here calling all these men narcissists. I'm a motherfucking narcissist. Me, mine. I'm going to emotionally, energetically manipulate everything until I get my way. If they ain't a narcissist, I don't know what is. But guess what? I became aware of it. And that means I can now, hey, color me stylish. I can now intentionally get away from that energy. You know what I'm saying? So that is the end of my teaching. I will now open the forum up to those of you who wanted to get on and let's chat. We got 5 minutes together. Let's have a conversation. You want to add to the conversation? Let's get it together. Let's grow and let's heal. That's right. They can copy it all. They can copy every single thing. As long as we keep doing surface level healing, and I'm not saying that your spiritual evolution is surface level. That's not at all what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it's easy compared to sitting up and admitting that you're married to the wrong person. It's easy compared to sitting up and admitting I was a hoe and I was just fucking everybody, and now I got 5 kids by 5 random men. Admit that to yourself. I have a conversation that I'm having with my 18-year-old on YouTube right now. Check us out, As the Apple Turns, where she's like, Mom, you sitting up talking to Dre at 3 a.m. That's hoe-like behavior. And I was like, you're right. Because if my daughter came to me and was like, she's sitting on the phone with some dude at 3 a.m., I'd be like, them ain't the hours you supposed to be sitting on the phone, sis. But I can't turn around and then explain my love story with my guy where I'm just like, yeah, we would sit on the phone till 3 in the morning and we would fall asleep together. Now we can, energy, right? Pendulum. Yes, we got on the phone at 9 o'clock when he got off of work and we sat on the phone till 3 a.m. till he fell asleep. I understand that. But this is why the 4 agreement says you can't be in the energy, I'm paraphrasing. You can't be in the energy of good and in the energy of bad. You have to control yourself, period. Because yes, it was all love when we were sitting on the phone at 3 a.m. Cupcaking. But guess what? On the other side, a nigga got you on the phone at 3 a.m. because he's trying to fuck. So how can you protect yourself from this if you're open to this? So you just got to sit in the middle until you are in the space where, and I don't know what it is to be in the space, but you know what it is for you to be in the space. And that's why the 4 agreements that says, don't give energy on the good side, don't give energy on the bad side. It just be centered. Because if you practice centering yourself, then you ain't got to worry about, is this 3 a.m. phone call good or is this 3 a.m. phone call bad? I'm just not taking 3 a.m. phone calls because that's hoe-like behavior. So we can't be so full of ourselves that we cannot admit the fuckery that we did in our youth, because that fuckery we did in our youth so that we could prevent the next generation from doing it. But most of us are so ashamed of who we were in the eyes of our children. Maybe in our own eyes. I don't know. I'm not ashamed of my past, but we all know that. But it took tremendous work. Pick up your textbook and join the study group. It took tremendous work to get to the space where I can sit and have these conversations with my kids, because there was a time when I told Bailey, when you're older, I could tell you the story, but tomorrow's not promised. I could hop off this live and be done. This be the last thing I do, but I'm waiting to transfer knowledge to my kids until they're older. How about I figure out how to transfer knowledge to my children at their age group? Now I can tell Angel about my essay at her age appropriateness. Now I can tell Michael about my essay at his age appropriateness, and Angel is 11 and Michael is 6. How I would have a conversation with Michael is about respecting young women. Did you ask her if you can hold her hand? Did you ask her, can you give her a hug? Did she enjoy that? Did she tell you that she enjoyed it? Did she say no? Then you make sure you listen to that. I am teaching my child about being a predator by telling him to ask a female permission, or male, but I'm speaking to what my present reality is, asking permission before you go approach, whatever the word is, before you go into someone else's space. So let's not wait until our children are at a particular age in order for us to transfer knowledge to them. How about we grow ourselves just enough to transfer knowledge at a space that they can receive it? Because tomorrow's not promised. I think they can heal when they face themselves and not looking into others. That's what I had to do, girl. I told you I was a narcissist and healing. I was healing and narcissistic. Yo, I'm reading this damn book and I'm like, how did I forget all of this stuff? Like, everything that's in this book I've known. And the stuff that I'm like, ooh, girl, I done figured something out. No, bitch, you've been known it. But there was a space in my life, and this is how I know you can turn it off and you can turn back, because I did. I experienced so much disappointment in this spiritual world that I was just like, fuck this. Literally turned myself off to it and attached to the physical world, detached from my spiritual self. And so I am rediscovering all the things I already knew. But even in that, it's intentional, because if I learned something in 2013 and held on to the application that I had in 2013, do you think I would be telling and speaking the messages that I am today? I would not, because I would have said, I know what I know, and I'm teaching from that perspective. But because I forgot, and now I'm reintroducing it to myself, and I'm realizing you've already known that, instead of feeling shame, because I have felt shame, I'm sitting here reading this book, and I'm like, I'm over here struggling with this commoner mentality. You know, I'm over here struggling with these things when I know better. I have to relearn, and that's why I'm committed. I'm going to read this book over and over again. I'm going to read this book with you guys. Move through it at your pace. This is not a chapter a day book. This is do the work. Hop on the lives. I'm here every Wednesday. Ask questions. If you need to get with me on a one-on-one basis, shoot me a DM, and let's intentionally heal. I know this works because I've worked it. This isn't like picking up a random book and you don't know who to talk to. You got to figure this shit out. I've already figured it out, and on top of already figuring it out, guess what? I can help you figure yourself out, because I've also tapped into my divinity, which I see souls. I see how people move. You can tell me your story, and I can tell you exactly how to fix it. It's a gift. I'm not a psychic. I'm not, no, you actually got to talk to me. You got to actually talk to me, and I can read between the lines. Thank you for the love, guys. Thank you for the shares. Thank you for staying with us and having this conversation. We're all worth it, and we all deserve it. I can't wait to get more into it. Girl, it's good. It's good. And I always think about people like you, where I'm just like, sis knows this stuff. But I know this stuff, and I'm sitting here reading. I'm just like, girl, you said something there. You said something there, So I'm so excited to take this book and break it down and develop teachings from it, because we need this. We, as Black women leaders in our community, leading by example, we need this, because as we heal, as we evolve, and I'm so happy that thank you so much. It's been out there since 2013. It'll be there when you're ready to order it. But I appreciate you. We have to understand that I'm just so happy that we're finally to the place where we're able to receive that maybe the Black woman got some work to do. Because I remember when I first started on this, like last year or the year before, I was like, man, the Black community, the Black mother, and the Black men all got some work to do. And my husband was like, you hate your own race, you hate your own gender, and you're a man hater. I was like, how do I hate those things? By finding them problematic, by admitting there's a problem somewhere. Why does that make me a hater? Why can't that just be someone who sees something that has such tremendous possibilities, so much tremendous potential, that is not being realized, and you see the limitations that we have put on ourselves as the Black community. You see the limitations that we have put on ourselves as Black women and mothers. You see the limitations that we have put on ourselves as Black men, the unwillingness to evolve and change, the I am who I am, old pie looking ass. Why can't we see those limitations and call them out? That doesn't make me a hater. That just means I see your potential. But your ego, your pride, your limited belief in self, your lack thinking and believing that who you were when you were 18 is who you are, and all you're going to do is get a beer belly, but everything else stays the same. No, believing that is your limited lack thinking. We need to shift from the space where we believe, and anyone who would like to come in as a guest, go ahead and let me know and I'll pop you in. But believing who we were at 18 was the end of our growth. And the only evolution and change that we need to do from that point was make some more money. I got to make some more money. I'm a better person because I make more money. I'm envy of that person. Why? Because they make more money. Or this whole, look at me, I got a husband and he's a daddy. That stuff is really bothersome to me. Like, I get it. Boom. I started my channel in 2019. I had a beautiful conversation with my son last night, the 23-year-old, 25-year-old. I don't know how old he is. I've never kept track of his age, but I think it's relevant now, so I probably should now. It's my stepson, but I receive him as my son. So that's why I don't know my child's age, because there's been a little in between us, but we're getting here. Work's being done. Anyway, I had a really beautiful conversation with him last night, and he finally offered me forgiveness, y'all. And it's so beautiful because when I started this journey, not in February, his cousin got married in December. So we were at the wedding and I asked him for his forgiveness. I pulled him to the side and I asked Ezra for their forgiveness in March. I remember because they were at different events, because we only came around each other for events, right? And so I pulled him to the side and I was like, I apologize for how I've treated you in the past. I apologize for how I've spoken to you in the past. I operated under the understanding that I had at the time. But I'm very much aware that what I did was problematic. And so I want to apologize and ask you your forgiveness. And he and Ezra were both like, yeah, I hear you. But I'm not in a position, just because you asked me for forgiveness doesn't mean I'm ready to give you forgiveness. And I was like, no, I'm not expecting you to be like, okay, cool, forgiveness. No, I'm just letting you know that I'm doing the work to no longer be in that space, and I can't change the past. But if we can heal the energy between us, then we can move into the future on stable foundation. So that's why I'm offering my apology and asking your forgiveness whenever it's ready. That was in December. We are in September. In circumstances, it is very beautiful. Thank you. Whatever the circumstances are, my son is staying with us. He's lowering his overhead, he's helping us out, whatever the causality, who knows what divinely has transpired where my son is staying with us. And it's so peaceful for the first time ever. I'm not going into the living room like, none of that. I'm just like, hey, I actually look for him in the morning because he's a trader, in the financial market. So he's up when I wake up to take the kids. He's sitting at his computer and he's working, and, I'm waving to him, and he's on business calls, handling his business. It's just beautiful. But it's September. It took 9 months. And what he told me yesterday, he was just like, it's difficult to forgive someone and you don't see change. Lead by example. And you don't see change. As long as he remained on the outside, he was never able to see me more than just a mouthpiece. I hear what you're saying. But he saw me so infrequently, and the energy of the infrequency was the same old energy where I'm just like, you feel the same, so I'm going to kind of move around you the same, and But we're around each other at the frequency where he can see that I am a new person. So yesterday we were talking about something, and he was like, yeah, about that, I want you to know that I do forgive you. He was like, it's difficult to forgive someone when you don't see that they've changed, but I see the work that you're doing, and I forgive you. And it was just such a beautiful moment for me, because that is a piece. And the forgiveness for me is through healing conversations if necessary. It is so heartwarming. The forgiveness for him may look completely different. Maybe he just had to see me. He was like, I hear you, but I need to see you. And so the fact that he got to see me and he offered that to me was beautiful, because I'm leading by example. So when you are saying it's difficult to make the evolution and the change and do the work to love yourself and to heal yourself and to become the you deserve to be in this lifetime, understand that your relationships around you are either thriving or they're surviving you. Do you want your relationships to survive you? I want my relationships to thrive, which means I must continuously work on myself. And it doesn't have to be in the beginning. In the beginning, the healing came from hate. I hated myself. Now the healing is coming from, I want to be the best version of myself. If I can feel this good where I'm at, and yes, I swing back and forth, but I'm working on it. I just retaught myself to capture the energy, capture that feel-good energy, document it so that you can now create your own little recipe book. You know, whenever you're feeling good, and I'm not sure which chapter this is, I read up to chapter 13, which is where if you started on the 15th and you're reading a chapter today, you should be on chapter 15. But what I recognized was when you write down all those things that make you feel good and that trigger that euphoria within yourself, that dopamine to come and to make you feel good, if you write down those things, those circumstances, when people like my posts and when people share my videos and people tell me they're healing and all these different things, yes, they're topical, yes, they're superficial, but they make me fucking feel good. If I can capture that energy, then I can continuously feed myself intentionally that energy, and I can also use that energy that I captured to pull myself out of spaces that no longer serve me. It's okay for us to experience the highs and the lows of life, but the beautiful experience, the beautifulness, the beautification of experiencing these things is the infrequency. Today, Michael got home and he was mad and he was crying and very physically expressing his frustration because Caden deleted his game off of his Kindle and he had made progress. And I love Michael's vocabulary. He deleted my progress. I was like, okay, vocabulary. You know, and he was so upset. And I was like, I'm not dishonoring your feelings. You're allowed to have these feelings. It's how these feelings are manifesting. Are the tears going to change the fact that he deleted your game? No. Is going in on him going to change the fact that he deleted your game? No. Is sending yourself through this emotional cycle going to change the fact that he deleted your game? No. So how about you experience whatever it is that you're experiencing, because you're allowed to experience it will piss me off too. But why, just because we're upset, must we now drop our vibration? Must we now go into this tailspin? Must we now go into this woe is me energy? It's not necessary. And that is what I'm telling my husband as we're going through this space that we're going through, and he's just, just depressed and all these different things about it. I was like, babe, Michael, I'm like, babe, is this depression going to change our circumstances? So how about you go through this with as high vibrational energy as possible? And we still going through it, but guess what? You weren't miserable. Like, we are the manifestors of our own misery, but that's a whole another conversation, right? Let's see. That's heartwarming. You encouraged me to write more today. You better write, sis. You better tell your story so we could read it. We are here for all the evolutions. We are all storytellers, because guess what? My message only goes as far as those who are receptive to my message. But I can now inspire someone else, and now they can deliver their message, which is an offshoot of my message, but it's their version of it. Just like I watched Fatima's video today, and it manifested in my journal entry, and it manifested in a teaching based off of my understanding. And did it completely align with her perspective? No. But she sparked something in me that took her message further into my platform. So in that respect, she did not only reach her platform, she hopped on me, and then she reached my platform. And whoever within my platform heard her message can now take that message, internalize it, and now deliver the message within themselves and deliver the message to their community because they're leading by example. We are no longer experiencing life evolving things within ourselves and in our community and staying the same. What is the point? Thank you for the like. What is the point in experiencing the richness and fullness of life and choosing to stay the same? It just does not make sense. We have to stop quitting on ourselves. We as Black women, and I'm speaking to us specifically because I know our power, but I know how messed up we are. And it has to be very intentional for us to target or funnel our power into the energy of progress. And we have to disassociate progress with monetary gain. And progress is an evolutionary thought. We have turned our brains off and we have attached to this physical world, which would be the flesh, which would be the ego. Y'all, my son is a Christian. And we were having a conversation and I immediately stepped away. And he was like, why did you get offended? I was like, I wasn't getting offended. It just started feeling real familiar. And he was like, but you've never Christianed with me. And this is my language. You've never Christianed with me. So you should not fault me for what others have done. And I was like, you're right. And so then we were able to enter into the conversation. And we were able to literally have a conversation, y'all. I already told him, because he's talking about communism and how they trying to pull the whole little communism game over here. And I believe it because what he's talking about is what I see too. I see it, but he sees it differently. We all see it, right? And I can even appreciate my husband watching the news all the time because he sees it too. But his is manifesting in, he's expecting these politicians to do something. These politicians ain't doing nothing, but if that's where he sees the problem, he's looking for the solution. Me and my stepson see the problem, impeding problem, and we're doing the work to wake as many people up as possible. I want to talk about his journey to Christianity because he explained it to me last night, because most of us are Christians because our parents were Christians, but my children as well as my husband's children were never raised in Christian households, i.e., yes, we're Christians because we're Christians because we're Christians because we're Christians, but we're not actively practicing the Bible. I don't know how many people are actually out there actively practicing the Bible, but that's a whole nother conversation. And so he found it because he is in the financial markets, right? He's a trader. And so he's trading and he sees how volatile the market is. And he's seeing how, depending on how the powers that be that control the market and manipulate the market, like all these different things are controlling and manipulating the market. And so he started researching what is controlling and manipulating the market. And as he researched that funneled down, and this is his story to tell, so this is my topical viewpoint, but from researching the market, it funneled down to Christianity and how the Bible is literally telling us what's happening present day. Now, he can explain it better, but he's just saying the communism that is rolling down in American society today is just a wash and repeat, and it's been happening, and now it's happening to us, and we are so completely unaware, and we're just like, help us. We can't afford groceries, we can't afford to live, help us. It's intentional, and I've known it's intentional, but the way that he explained it, he paralleled it to the Bible. So I told him last night, before I was very defensive about you and your Christian space. I'm willing to hear what you have to say, but I'm like, 2 steps in, 2 steps back. 2 steps in, 2 steps back. But now that I know that he's coming from a research place and he's just not grasping, like we grasp, right? And some of us grasp Christianity. Some of us, Yes, it is. It's America's blueprint. Oh my goodness. It's the world. China, he was telling me how many people died because he was saying the problem with communism is, well, there's multiple problems, but this is what he told me yesterday. He was like, it's in population reduction. And he was like, so many hundreds of millions of people died in communist Russia, and so many hundreds of millions of people died in communist China due to starvation, due to, COVID, due to all these different things. Like, they're just releasing things into our society. They're killing us in our air, they're killing us in our water, they're killing us in our food, they're doing all these different things to take us out. And now they're making it to we can't even afford to eat. And that's why I was just like, I see it too, but I don't see it the way that you see it. I don't see it from the research space that you have. I.e., he is researching communism and he's watching how they rolled it out in other countries. He's seen it slowly roll out in America. And he's like, yo, we got to get the fuck up out of here. And I'm like, I agree. But what he was saying is, I don't remember. But he hit me the game. But I told him, I was like, look, I tend to get paranoid, so you be careful. And be mindful of what you teach me, because I will have us living in a goddamn mountain somewhere, because I'm like, we got to survive. Like, when 2000 hit, yes, I told my then boyfriend we need to go find us a cave when 1999 turns into 2000, because if this bitch blow up, we got to have a fighting chance. Oh, the ridiculousness of Lonnie. So I told him, I was like, be very mindful of what you share with me, because I tend to roll with it. But we had such a beautiful conversation, and I realized I was just like, you didn't just grasp and cling to Christianity because you were searching for something, and this is what made sense, because most of us grasp to religion because it's a set of ready-made rules. Do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. It's mindless relationship with God, because they're telling you exactly how to do it. You ain't got to put no effort. You ain't even got to put no efforts in your healing if your healing is linked to this mindless relationship with God. I just got to check all these boxes. That's why you see so many morally bankrupt people in the church. And we think, oh, you can find a good man in the church. No, a bad man knows you can find a woman in the church, and that's why his ass is in there, narcissist. Fatima. So religion is just cookie cutter, easy relationship with God, which isn't true relationship at all. Because that's why we're not building relationships with our own children, because we are not creating a true relationship with our parent. I won't say father, because we rock however we rock, but we're not creating true relationship with our creator. Therefore, us as creators are not creating true relationship with our children. And just like we sit and we topically know our creator, we allow our children, and we're comfortable with our children topically sitting and watching us and observing us and figuring out how to live. But if we actually picked up the book and we actually studied the book for ourselves, that's why I do quote the Bible. Why? Because there's some hot stuff in there. Like, if we can disassociate from religion and actually study the text, which is what my son was saying. He was like, people that try to come for me, I've actually studied the Bible, and you just coming off a topical, rhetoric. Don't come from my head unless you're researched. And I was like, yeah, see, that's why I backed up from you, because I was just like, because we were talking about, the conversation we were having was about the flesh and the spirit, and how, we must hate the flesh and all that different stuff. And I was like, well, the way that I translate that is spirit, soul, current incarnation, reincarnation, Lonnie and Netta. Those of you who rock with me, you know what I'm talking about. I believe that you can align them. I'm not saying become one with the flesh. I'm saying, just like a narcissist can study you and figure out what the fuck is going on, your flesh can study how you move in spirit. And now, instead of your flesh working against you, because just this idea, and I refuse to believe it, I don't care how many scriptures are out there, and maybe a scripture will flip my brain, but it just does not make sense for us to forever to be at internal war within ourselves. the flesh and the spirit, they just can't get along. Really? Really? Like, why must I have inner torment? Do you know I would have sex on Saturday night and go into church on Sunday and just cry and be all in the preacher's arms like, because, you know, I had sex the night before and I need to repent my sins. Oh, my God. I just don't think that we need to be at an internal war within ourselves. And I think that it is possible. I know that it is possible because I am the observer in my life and I study myself to where my mind is not so far over here and my soul is so far over here that they can't even get a clue of each other. No, I'm getting to the point where I deny my flesh, as the Bible says, which means I deny my mind. And I listen to my heart, I listen to my higher self, and I follow my intuition. And the more I get into my intuition, my mind is studying that. Okay, these are the feelings that I feel that I'm in when I'm in this movement. Yes, you have to observe you observing you. Yes. Talk about it in the book. Get your textbook, guys. You know, I'm watching myself, and that's how we intentionally heal ourselves. If we are not watching ourselves, how can we heal ourselves? I literally was sitting next to my friend, and I was so proud of her because she said something, and then she said, no, that's a da-da-da-da. And she literally went into dissecting herself right in front of me. And I was like, yo, this is so dope to watch because she has become the observer in her life. And so she's talking herself through a decision that she made that is not serving her higher good. And she's looking at how it's impacted her in the past. She's looking at how it impacts her in the present and how she would like to either continue using pieces of this particular behavior, because every behavior is not wrong. You know what I'm saying? Or not unadvantageous. I don't know the opposite of advantageous, but you know, there's benefits to everything. Everything has its place in this world, you know, so how can I apply this in a healthy way going forward that leads me to where I need to? So, you know, I just told my stepson, I was like, well, you seem to know what the fuck you're talking about, so we could have these conversations, but understand that you may have the scripture to back up your viewpoint, but I have a knowing. So you rely in your scripture. Just know I'm standing firm in my knowing. Because what I know and hold to be true, guess what? It's the truth. And we had that conversation yesterday. He was just like, oh, Jesus done entered the chat. My goodness, y'all, Jesus done entered the chat. Let me get off this topic because Jesus is going to get mad at me. We're talking about religion and Christianity. So the irony that you joined is why I say that. Welcome. You know, it's just really good to release a lot of those old energies that I have held towards Christianity based off of my trauma, and able to receive his truth. And he's like, well, there's only one truth. I was like, yeah, and I allow you to have that. That's your truth, but my truth is not your truth. So can we rock with that? Let me see. Thank you guys for all the love. We are up to 9K likes and consistent viewership. They teach you to learn not unto your own understanding. So that means no free thinking.